Today we're looking at this 17-70 f2.8 for Fujifilm. I wanted to test it as I usually do, like this first of all, because this is one of the ways I would use this lens. I think there's some good potential for this lens, even for professional work. I mean, the 16-50 f2.8 from Fujifilm themselves is a cracking lens and clearly set up for pro work. This maybe comes close, but I need to give it some real time. It's been out a couple of months. I've got a couple more weeks with it, so yeah, let's see how we get on. First, we're going to look at it up close, get those random test samples on the go, have a talk about the image quality, if it's worth the price, maybe, you know, considering the 16-55 too. And then yeah, it'll be over to you in the comments. So let's crack on. Let's see what's inside the box then. You can pause and read the stats if you want, but we'll go through them now. Of course, this is a demo copy, so well used, but it's basically retail. So fairly thick owner's manual. Safety instructions there. We don't need none of that. The lens itself, it's actually a light feeling thing. Little snap cap there, needs a bit of a clean. And on the back, see a few fingerprints there. This has been well used, of course. That looks kind of small. Obviously it's the right size. This is the X-mount version. Now let's just set it up as if I was going to shoot with it. Yeah, actually, somebody said it was a beer can style, which I definitely get, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. Now, as we go through the zoom range, you can see it does get even longer. So we've got a focal length equivalent in full frame terms for some of us older folk, I suppose, 25.5 mil to 105 mil. That's your full frame equivalent. Angle of view 79.55 to 23 degrees. There are 9 diaphragm blades, 16 elements in 12 groups. Now you'll notice no aperturing, which is an immediate turn off for some people. I'm fine using the dial on the front of my Fujifilm cameras personally. I can live without that if this proves to be worth it. Closest focus distancing, 19 centimeters at the widest, 39 centimeters at the tele end. Pretty interesting. I'm quite happy about that. 67mm filter thread. You get this decent enough matching lens hood. That's absolutely fine. Now, I'm not entirely sure how weather resistant this is. It does seem to have a little bit of a seal around there. If there's anything to report, I'll let you know later on. It weighs 530 grams. Yeah, fancy a beer now after that. Who was it that said beer can shaped? It's basically fair, but let's see how it performs in some random testing. Firstly, yes, I would prefer a proper aperturing. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. As it's a rather light lens, I'm not sure how it would last after some years abuse, but actually I think it's really pretty well made otherwise, and if you're not abusing it, it could become a bit of a workhorse, especially for event shooters, some of you, and travelers who don't mind packing larger gear. Now that zoom ring works nice and smoothly, and the 5 stops image stabilization is also very welcome. The autofocus works really well, and thanks to the stepping motor, you can move between subjects quickly and smoothly, which is very useful in video shooting. Here's some quick tests with the T4 to give you an idea maybe. Focus shift or breathing is really good at both ends of the range, as you can possibly make out in these clips. Nearest eye, back wall, nearest eye, eye. The other side of the back wall where there's not anything until it zooms. Yeah, it's got it. Eye, back window. That's to the belt at the back, and that's to the eye in the foreground. Belt at the back, eye in the foreground. If you look at the corners, there's almost nothing changing. As for image quality, first off, clearly the lens offers excellent sharpness more or less across the frame and the range, and there's no real issues with chroma, CA, fringing. Same goes for vignetting. The lens does perform really well. It works really well with the Fujifilm sensor for color rendering, and tonal contrast is also pleasing. There is quite a bit of distortion to look out for. Barrel at the wide end and, you know, a bit of pin cushion further up the range. Now, the Fujifilm camera corrects this pretty well in fairness, so it's not something I really had to worry about. Ghosting can be a bit fun, but, you know, not a huge problem either. Now, how do you feel about the bokeh? It's not magical, and there's a bit of onion ring effect if you go looking for it, but, you know, otherwise it's usable. In summary, the image quality is bordering on excellence, and on this level, the lens is extremely usable for most of us. Is it worth it then? Well, the lens is £829 new. The nearest equivalent is the smaller, rather excellent XF16-55, which feels more professional, costs more, has less range,
doesn't have stabilization, but you're not going to argue that it is a top quality lens. In the real world, most of us won't really notice the difference in image quality between the two, given that this Tamron offers more range, stabilization, better autofocusing, closer minimum focus distancing, and is 130 grams lighter. This could be a solid choice for a Fujifilm shooter, even a professional event photographer that doesn't tend to throw the lenses in the boot of the car with zero protection. And I know a good, excellent pro photographer friend that does that. This won't last him long at all, but the rest of us are fine. Clive, if you're listening, yes, you know I'm talking about you. Right, of course, we also looked at the excellent little Sigma 18-50, which is definitely my size of lens. But, you know, it's a tough decision, really. I much prefer the extra range, the OIS of this Tamron. But the size of this one makes me think twice about certain applications. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of tempted to pick up this Tamron, though. And I mean, can't I have them all? Anyway, I better stop now before gas takes over. Over to you in the comments. And in the meantime, Tamron, where's that 11 to 20?